Good afternoon and welcome to another session of the second phase of the series of webinars on NEP 2020. Today, the teachers who are going to join us are from the schools under COE Bhubaneswar. They must already have got the live streaming link from their respective schools. They will also be getting a link for MCQ on NEP at 4 p.m., which will remain live till 9 p.m. today. And only those teachers who participate in the MCQ, in the question attempt, they attempt the questions, they will be getting the certificate. Today, our expert is Dr. Shankar Prasad Datta, who is the principal, Krishna Nagar Public School, Nadia, West Bengal. He is an experienced teacher with more than 30 years of teaching experience. He is also a passionate writer and has done research in new fields of knowledge and has more than 20 books to his credit. Today, he will present the document of NEP 2020 with the perspective of a child pedagogue. Dr. Sankar, I invite you and hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. It is actually a pleasure and honor for me to conduct this session. To start with, I must thank Mr. Sanjeev Srivastav sir, Head COE Bhubaneswar, Vishwit Saha sir, Director CBSE Training and Skill Education, Sandeep Jain sir, Joint Secretary Training CBSE, RP Singh sir, Joint Secretary Skill Education CBSE, Biru Tutu sir from COE Bhubaneswar, and all respected CBSE personnel for giving me this opportunity to share the thoughts on NEP. So with that, I start with my presentation. I would just like to know whether the screen is visible or not. Please, if you can help me. I hope the screen is visible.
It is visible, sir.
Thank you. So, as we know, education is fundamental for achieving full human potential, developing an equitable and just society, and promoting national development. The National Education Policy 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century and aims to address the many growing developmental imperatives of our country. We are all baffled, but it's time for us to look at it from an objective point of view and give our best in implementing it in a systematic and phased manner that CBSE is intending to. So, National Education Policy 2020, we start with the vision. When we talk of the vision, the policy proposes the revision and revamping of all aspects of education structure, including its regulation and governance, to create a new system that is aligned with the inspirational goals of 21st century education, including sustainable development goals, while building upon India's tradition and value system. The core vision is develop an education policy system deeply rooted in Indian ethos, which has the capability to provide high quality education to compete in the global world. The curriculum and pedagogy must develop a sense of respect towards fundamental duties and Constitution of India and have a deep bond with the country. Develop a sense of pride and respect for the country and be responsible for human rights, sustainable development, global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. With that, we move to the key principles of NEP. Some of the key principles of NEP 2020: respect for diversity and local context in all curriculum, pedagogy, and policy. Emphasize conceptual understanding rather than rote learning and learning for examination. So we understand the shift in the paradigm. equity and inclusion as the cornerstone of all education decisions. So the decision should be based on equity and inclusion. Unique capabilities to be recognized and identifying them in each student because we believe every child is unique and different. Community participation, encouragement and felicitation for philanthropic, private and community participation. Critical thinking and creativity to encourage logical decision making and innovation. Use of technology in teaching and learning, removing language barriers for Divyang or special students, and educational planning and management. And finally, a continuous review based on sustained research and regular assessment by educational experts. As we move, that how this transformation is taking place in the curricular and pedagogical structure. Presently, we were having the 10 plus 2 structure, which is now moving to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This 5 years of foundational stage is broken into 3 plus 2. 3 is the Anganwadi or preschool, and 2 is the regular schooling of classes 1 and 2. So the foundation stage, which is of 5 years, it is multi-level, play activity-based learning. So what are the basic features of this foundation stage? First, play activity-based learning, pedagogy of early childhood care and education, focus on good behavior, courtesy, ethics, personal and public hygiene, cleanliness, focus on teamwork and cooperation. Then we have the preparatory stage, which is for 3 years from classes 3 to 5. The play discovery, activity-based and interacting classroom learning. The basic features of preparatory stages, gradual transition from play-based learning to more formal classroom learning, interactive teaching learning, introduction of subjects including physical education, art, languages, science, and mathematics. Emphasis on reading, writing, speaking. Then we go to the middle stage, which is from class 6 to 8 for 3 years, which experiential learning in the science, mathematics, arts, social science, and humanities. So the basic features of this stage is subject-oriented pedagogical and curricular methodology. Subject teachers for learning, discussion of the more abstract concepts in each subject across the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities. And finally, we have the final 4 years of schooling, that is from class 9 to 12. This is the secondary stage where we expect greater critical thinking, multidisciplinary study, flexibility, and students' choice of subjects. So the main features of this stage is 4 years of multidisciplinary study, greater depth, greater critical thinking, greater attention to life aspirations, greater flexibility and student choice, exposure to more subjects and enable greater flexibility, more frequent assessment of modules. So basically what we find, the new pedagogical and curricular structure of school education, which comprises of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Out of that, 5 years, 3 years in Anganwadis, preschool, and 12 years in schools. As we move, we have already discussed the silent features. We move to the shift to competency-based teaching, learning, and assessment. From rote learning, we were just into rote learning, exam-oriented learning, which is shifted to competency-based, which promotes critical and creative thinking aligned to the 21st century in classrooms. Shifting traditional assessment to competency focus, track student progress comprehensively and frequently, and design tools and resources to acquire learning outcomes. So what we get from here, two core things. Number one, reducing curriculum to the core essentials to minimize rote learning. And number two, promoting sport integrated and art integrated learning in classroom for holistic development. Now as we move with the first stage, that is the early childhood care and education, ECCE, the foundation of learning. What are the basic goals? Ensuring that all children entering grade 1 are school ready by 2030, attain optimal outcome in the domain of physical and motor development, cognitive development, socio-emotional development, cultural, artistic development, and the development of communication and early languages, literacy, and numeracy. ECCE curriculum and pedagogy development to prepare initial of high quality ECE teachers, plan to introduce 6-month certificate program in ECE, 1-year diploma program covering early literacy, numeracy, and other relevant aspects of ECE. Minimum qualification of teachers could be even 10+2 or above. Finally, introduction of a preparatory class before class 1, the transition phase, for children of age 0-5 years. Learning shall be based on play-based learning with a focus on developing, number one, read with comprehension, write, then basic mathematical operations, and finally, learn the basic life skills. As we move with the attainment of foundational literacy and numeracy by grade 3 in mission mode. Number one comes early learning, that is focused on early reading, writing, and mathematics. The 3 months pre-based school, 3 months pre-based school preparation module for all grade 1 students. The book promotion. National book promotion policy will be formulated and public and school libraries will be expanded. National mission on foundational literacy and numeracy. National repository, which is of high quality teaching and learning resources on Diksha, which are available and which we can all refer to. Many of the teachers have also contributed to this Diksha portal. Foundation skills, universal acquisition of foundational learning skills, and libraries, school libraries, including digital libraries, to be leveraged. Now, a very important focus is curtailing dropout rates and ensuring universal access to education at all levels. So, to bring children back to school and prevent children dropping out, some steps are taken. Now, what are the steps? Let's see. Number one, provide regular trained teachers at each stage. Special care shall be taken to ensure that no school remain deficient on infrastructural support. So, infra is a very important essentials. Number two, universal participation in school by carefully tracking students as well as their learning levels. We all are maintaining portfolios through that in order to ensure that A, they are enrolled in and attending school, and B, have suitable opportunities to catch up and re-enter school in case they are fallen behind or dropped out. Point number 3, community participation in terms of expertise and infrastructural support. And finally, scope of school education will be broadened to facilitate multiple pathways to learning involving both formal and non-formal education modes. Open and distance learning, what is known as ODL programs, offered by National Institute of Open Schooling, popularly known as NIOS, and state open school will be expanded and strengthened. Now, as we move from this, we will now have an understanding on the highlights of the pedagogical structure. Now, when we are talking about the highlights, the first and foremost come competency-based education. Modules on preparing and implementing pedagogical plans based on competency and outcome-based education for school leaders. Next, the integration of subjects through art integrated, sport integrated, ICT integrated, and storytelling based pedagogy, among others, as standard pedagogy, which presently most of us are following. Development of scientific temper. Development of a scientific temper and inculcation of knowledge and practice of human and constitutional values such as patriotism, sacrifice, non-violence, truth, honesty, peace, etc. Then, no silos among subjects and learning. So, no hard separation between so-called curricular, co-curricular, or extracurricular. There is no separation between academics or vocational, between science and humanities, and between sports, arts, or academics. We move into the emphasis on digital literacy. So emphasis on digital literacy, coding and computational thinking, ethical and moral reasoning. It's suggested that the coding starts right from class 6 onwards. We move to promotion of multilingual teaching, promoting states to enter into bilateral agreements with nearby states to hire language teachers. Then we talk about encouraging 21st century skill in the classroom. As teachers, we had been doing a lot of workshops from CBSE, and we are also implementing and encouraging our children with this 21st century skill. Just as a recapitulation, let us go through them. The digital literacy, problem solving, communication, critical thinking, creativity or creative thinking, health and fitness, social responsibility, ethics, scientific temper, collaboration. So basically these are the 21st century skills. So in addition to this, there will be introduction of contemporary subjects like artificial intelligence, holistic health, data science, machine learning, design thinking, and organic living. So these are the proposed contemporary subjects which would be introduced. As we move with the year-long course during grade 6 to 8. So during this, there will be a survey and hands-on experience of a sampling of important vocational crafts such as carpentry, electric work, metal work, gardening, pottery making, etc. So as decided by states and local communities and as mapped by local skilling needs. So this will vary from region to region, from place to place. Whichever local vocational craft is more popular, students will be given the advantage to practice on that. Then we move to mathematical and computational thinking. So mathematics and computational thinking will definitely be increased emphasis throughout the school years, starting with the foundation stage. What we all are doing, similarly, use of variety of innovative methods, including the regular use of puzzles and games that make mathematical thinking more enjoyable and engaging. And introduction of activities involving coding in middle stage. Then we move to the emphasis on the vocational education, a very important point. So a 10-day backlist period during grade 6 to 8 for students to intern with local vocational experts such as carpenters, gardeners, potters, artists, etc. internship opportunities to learn vocational subjects throughout grade 6 to 12, vocational courses through online mode, periodic exposure to activities outside school through like meeting local artists and craftsmen. Even vocational courses will be offered through open and distance learning mode. So the way it has been phased that by 2025, at least 50% of learners shall have exposure to vocational education. Next is the knowledge of India. NEP focuses on knowledge of India and knowledge from ancient India and its contribution to modern India and its successes and challenges. India's future aspiration with regard to education, health, environment, etc. Indian knowledge systems, including tribal knowledge and indigenous and traditional ways of learning, and specific courses in tribal ethno-medicinal practices, forest management, traditional organic crops, cultivation, natural farming, etc. will be made available. We can refer to Ayurvedic. An engaging course on Indian knowledge system in secondary school as an elective will be introduced. Competition in schools for learning various topics and subjects through fun and indigenous games like you can talk about pittu, you can talk about guli danda and all these things. Various documentaries on inspirational luminaries of India, ancient and modern, in science curriculum. Students to visit different states as a part of cultural exchange program. Constitutional values will be developed in students. Experts from the Indian constitutions will be considered essential reading for all students. Knowledge of critical issues facing local community, states, the country, and the world will also be shared. Then another important thing is the health education. Basic training in health, including preventive health, mental health and well-being, talk on nutrition, personal and public hygiene and first aid, and most important thing, detrimental and damaging effects of alcohol, tobaccos, and substance abuses and other drugs. So this is to be taken care. Leveraging the power of multilingualism and language learning. Children whose primary language is not the language of instruction in school are more likely to drop out of school or fail in early grades. They fail to follow. So, mother tongue, home language or local language as a medium of instruction wherever possible until at least up to grade 5, preferably till at least grade 8 should be followed. The languages of India, a fun project activity in school to familiarize with the diversity of the language in the country. We move to the National Curriculum Framework for School Education, NCFSE, and textbook. The formulation of a new and comprehensive National Curricular Framework for School Education, NCFSE 2020-21, will be undertaken by the NCERT based on the principles of this National Education Policy 2020 and will be made available in all regional languages. All textbooks shall aim to contain the essential core materials deemed important on a national level, but at the same time contain any desired nuances and supplementary materials as per local context and needs. Where possible, schools and teachers will also have choices in the textbooks they employ from among a set of textbooks that contain the requisite national and local material. So now this is what we have got the main points of NEP, as we now move into a very important thing of transforming assessment for students. Develop. So what is the aim of assessment? Basically, the shift from rote memorization skill to formative is more competency assessment, promotes learning and development of students, tests higher order skills such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. Assessment for learning, optimize learning and development for all students. This will be the underlying principle for assessment at all levels of education. So this transforming of assessment and tracking student progress across school years. All students will take school examination in grades 3, 5 and 8. So what will be now the key features of the assessment? The test score concepts are move away from rote memorization. So instead of rote memorization, we move into competency based. Conduct assessments for all schools, whether it's government or private. The students' data is anonymized. Public disclosure by school of their overall outcomes. Use data for continuous monitoring and improvement. So as we see that from grade 3 to grade 5, 5 to 8, then to 10 and 12, the achievement of basic learning outcomes through assessment of core concept and knowledge from the national and local curricula, along with relevant higher order skills and application of knowledge in real life situation rather than rote memorization. So this is leading to the designing of the report card. So redesigning report cards to assess holistic development of each child. The 360-degree holistic report card. The holistic progress card will form an important link between home and school and will be accompanied by parent-teacher meetings in order to actively involve parents in their child's holistic education and development. So if you see, look at the picture, we see the progress is project-based and inquiry-based learning through quizzes, role play, group work, portfolio, etc. The self-assessment and peer assessment, as well as the teacher assessment through interactive questionnaires for parents, teachers, and students, and the progress is measured in cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. So the results of the school examinations to be used only for development purpose of the school education, for public disclosure by schools of their overall students' outcome, anonymize students' outcome, never any individual students' details or results will be shared with their names, for continuous monitoring and improvement of the schooling system. So if we just take a look at the main features of the holistic progress card, we see the state, the union territories to redesign progress card in school to make them holistic, 360-degree, multi-dimensional report. The progress card will include self-assessment, peer assessment, and teacher assessment. The cards to reflect the progress and uniqueness of learner as discussed in the cognitive, affective, socio-emotional, and psychomotor domain. The progress is project-based and inquiry-based learning, quizzes, role plays, group works, portfolios, they are to be included in the report card. The holistic progress card will actively involve parents in their children's education and development. Maybe an AI-based software to be developed to help track growth through school years and to help students make optimal career choices. Now, regarding the guidelines for assessment, guidelines will be prepared by NCERT in consultation with major stakeholders such as Board of Assessments, BOA, National Assessment Center for School Education, NACSC, etc. Transformation in the assessment system by 22-23 academic session to align with the National Curriculum Framework for School Education NCFSE 2021. Now, as we move, the National Assessment Center for School Education, that is NACSC. So this center will advise the school boards regarding new assessment patterns and latest researches, for promoting collaboration between the school boards, and to become an instrument for sharing of best practices between school boards, etc. About shifting their assessment patterns towards meeting the skill requirements of the 21st century and in consonance with the stated objectives of this policy. As we talk about assessment, we move into another very important sphere of NEP, which reflects on teacher and teacher education. So the teacher and teacher education, because we believe teachers plays the pivotal role, and without them, it is actually not possible to educate. So the teacher and teacher education NEP 2020 will first talk about the 4-year integrated B.Ed course, minimum degree qualification for teaching that includes student teaching at local schools by 2030, 2 years B.Ed for applicants with an existing bachelor's degree in another specialized subject, 1 year B.Ed for those who have completed the equivalent of 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor's degree or have obtained a master's degree in a specialty. So all B.Ed programs will include training in time-tested techniques in pedagogy, multi-level teaching and evaluation, teaching children with disabilities, teaching children with special interest or talents, use of educational technology, and learner-centered and collaborative learning. As we move with teacher and teacher education NEP 2020, I would like to quote our Honorable Education Minister of India, who says, "It will become easy to be an IAS officer, but not a teacher. But we are teacher and we are passionate about it. At the same time, we are proud of our job." So the National Professional Standards for Teacher, NPST, will be developed by 2020. The professional standards will be reviewed and revised in 2030 and thereafter every 10 years on the basis of rigorous analysis of the efficacy of the system. Quality 4-year integrated B.Ed programs, transparency in transfers from online computerized systems, teacher eligibility tests, that is tests, will be strengthened, sharing of teachers across schools, school complexes will hire local eminent persons, experts as master instructors, a technology-based comprehensive teacher requirement planning. Teacher education will gradually move by 2030 into multidisciplinary colleges and universities. And finally, multidisciplinary higher education institutes offering the 4-year in a class integrated B.Ed program to also provide blended learning and or open distance learning mode of teaching to students in remote area. So NEP is going to help the teachers. They are going to support and nurture teachers through all phases of their tenure. Making a teacher, preparing a teacher right from what the teacher needs to have as the basic qualification, what they need to know when they want to be a teacher, the process of their recruitment, the deployment, the transfer in the classroom, how they are going to transact the information, how they would create the curiosity among the students, their thirst for knowledge and learning. So those, the way the hand holding will be done, and they will be trained to different sessions, to different training programs. And finally, the professional development of every teachers, as it's made mandatory 50 hours of professional training every year. So basically that is what is the aim of NEP with regards to teachers support. The continuous professional development, which I was talking about, CPD, and improving standards. Teachers will undertake 50 hours of CPD every year, driven by their own interests. The teacher education to include aspects of supporting gifted children. The 21st century teaching, learning and assessment will be at the heart of all teachers training program. Training teachers to be effective online educators. The Anganwadi workers or the preschool teachers trained in early literacy, numeracy, and other relevant aspects of early childhood care and education. Workshops and training programs for development of school leaders and principals as well, in addition to the teachers. Inclusion and equity will become a key aspect of teacher education, and secondary specialization to be created for teaching kids with disability. So what we find, a new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for teacher education, that is NCFTE 2021, will be formulated. National Professional Teachers Standard NPST to set benchmark for expectations of the role of teachers, standards for performance appraisal, and inform the design of pre-service education. Equitable and Inclusion Education NP 2020. Education is the single greatest tool for achieving social justice and equality. And NEP seeks to bridge gender and social category gaps at all levels of school education. We focus on socio-economically disadvantaged groups, that is SEDGs. The socio-economically disadvantaged group will basically be broadly categorized as the gender identities, particularly the female and the transgender individuals, socio-cultural identities such as scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBCs, and minorities. The geographical identities such as students from villages, small towns, and aspirational districts. Disabilities, including learning disabilities, and the socio-economic conditions such as migrant communities, low-income household, children in vulnerable situation, victims of or children of victims of trafficking, orphans including child beggars in urban areas, and the urban poor. A separate strategies will be formulated for focused attention for reducing each category-wise gaps in school education. Now we move how to ensure equity and inclusive education. So the procedure what we see is, number one, increased participation of socio-economically disadvantaged groups in the schooling system will be strengthened. SEZs or Special Education Zone will be declared for educationally disadvantaged SEDGs. A Gender Inclusion Fund for girls and transgender. There will be free boarding facilities will be built. Inclusion and equal participation of children with disabilities in ECCE and the schooling system will also be accorded the highest priority. Home-based education will be a choice for children who are unable to go to schools. Teachers must be helped to identify such learning disabilities early and plan specifically for their mitigation. Urgent need for additional special educators for certain areas of school education. Alternative forms of schools will be encouraged to preserve their to preserve their traditions or alternative pedagogical styles. Students in such school would be encouraged to appear for state or other board examinations and assessment by National Testing Agency, that is NTA. Special attention will be given to reduce the disparities for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Opening NCC wings in secondary and higher secondary schools will be encouraged. Students will be sensitized through this new school culture brought in by teachers, trained social workers, and counselors. Human values such as empathy, tolerance, human rights, gender equality, non-violence, citizenship, inclusion, and equity will be a part of curricula. As we move to efficient resourcing and effective governance through school complexes or clusters, to ensure that adequate numbers of counselors, trained social workers, and teachers, shared or otherwise, for teaching all subjects including art, music, science, sports, languages, vocational subjects, etc. Adequate resources, shared or otherwise, such as library, science lab, computer lab, skill labs, playgrounds, sports equipment, and facilities. A sense of community is built to overcome the isolation of teachers, students, and school through joint professional development programs, sharing of teaching learning content, joint content development, holding joint activities such as art and science exhibition, sports meets, quizzes and debates and fairs. And I believe many of the schools, many of us are following that. In practice, cooperation and support across school for the education of children with disabilities, improved governance of the schooling system by developing all final decisions to principals, teachers, and other stakeholders within each group of schools and treating such a group of schools with range groups. As we move, then we have this was the initiative which was taken by CBS. Now as we move, we will move into the initiative which is taken by CBSE. Just give me a minute. So as we move with the initiative of CBSE has taken a lot of initiative. The first and foremost, standard setting and accreditation for school education. NEP 2020 on standard setting and accreditation, a self-regulation or accreditation system will be instituted for all stages of private, public, and philanthropic to ensure compliance with essential quality standards. A minimal set of standards based on basic parameters, namely safety, security, infrastructure, number of teachers, financial probity, and sound processes of governance, which shall be followed by all schools. State UTs will set up an independent statewide body called the State School Standards Authority, commonly known as SSSA. Dimensions and formats of disclosure will be decided by the SSSA in accordance with global best practices. SCERT to develop a SQAAF, which means school quality assessment and accreditation framework through wide consultations. Now, what are the key features of SQAA, especially for CBSE school? Self-assessment tool for schools to review their performance against predefined indicators, benchmarks, easily implementable, transparent and objective tools, focuses on enhancement of quality, recognition of excellence, promotion of accountability, and benchmarking school across a range of descriptors or indicators of assessment. CBSE has developed a comprehensive framework termed as School Quality Assessment and Assurance SQAA. The disclosure will be at the school level based on proficiency of school. Technical documents standards has been prepared. E-portals for schools is being prepared, piloted in the year 2021 and finally rolled out in the year 22-23. How CBSE is bringing in transformation in the assessment and the examination system. A key stage assessment in class 3, 5 and 8 pilot in selected school will be conducted in 2021-22. Holistic report card for CBSE school is being prepared. It's in the process. 500 competency-based test items for classes 1 to 5 related to the measurement of each learning outcome stipulated by NCERT are being prepared. Pilot will be done in the beginning of April-May 21 or as and when school reopens. It will be implemented on a larger scale in 22-23. An online system is being developed. CBSE has set up a center for assessment. It will prepare standard link to learning outcomes, assessment, framework, item blueprints, and item development guidelines. Digital assessment unit is being set up. There has been work initiated on the development of question bank for competency-based items HOTS for classes 6 to 10 in major subjects will be available in Diksha. Many are already available in Diksha and you may have gone through them. There are training of paper setters and moderators is going on to standardize question papers. 10% higher order application oriented, that is source or case based question, till it becomes to 60%. And a manual on assessment as, for and of learning is being prepared. This is very important. Assessment as, for and of learning is being prepared. Not only this, there has been a continuous initiative of training of teachers through the different capacity building program. And as we move into that CBSE we all know, and we have also participated and actively being involved in lot of capacity building programs, both academic as well as non-academic. And at the same time, it has been offering subject-specific training and non-subject specific training or general life skill training to the teachers. Some will be aligned to cater to the need of the newly recruited teachers. Induction program will be initiated in the year 2022. CBSE has its policy on in-service teachers training. This has been modified to make 50 hours mandatory continuous professional development per year for teachers. The existing one is 35, so from 35 it will be increased to 50 hours per year. CBSE will prepare small 10-minute mock classroom demonstration, a good class practice for experiential joyful learning, etc. The board has introduced experiential learning, competency-based education, art and sport integrated education. All schools are mandated to follow inclusive education to provide conducive learning to all students. By now, CBSE has published 30 manuals to handhold teachers and trainings of teachers on newer pedagogies, classroom management, inclusive education, and subjects. Using 32 training manuals developed by CBSE are being conducted. Work is going on for developing 5 foundational and numerous training modules which will be used for training teachers in online and blended mode. This is very important. There has been a lot of curricular initiative we all know regarding the art and sport integrated education as per circular number 33. Then we have the principles as pedagogical leader and preparation of annual pedagogical plans which we are following from 9th March 2019 rather. Implementation of experiential learning pedagogies like art and sport integrated, storytelling and gaming. We all are having a lot of webinars on the CBSE website, and regularly these webinars are going on, and many of us are also practicing in these classes during this online session also different technologies which has been advocated by CBSE. Mathematics and Hindi at 2 levels. We are aware of the basic and standards. So English and Sanskrit will also be introduced at 2 levels from the session 21-22. Introduction of 9 vocational courses of 12-hour duration in classes 6 to 8 in 2020. So these have already been introduced. Now, CBSE is ensuring competency-based education in school. How are they ensuring? Mandatory adoption of learning outcomes by CBSE schools, creative and critical thinking practices, tests, informal assessments through students' enrichment activities, and introduction of case-based question in question paper designs. They have made mandatory online training on experiential learning and competency-based education. There have been a lot of resource material available on the CBSE website, the development of resource material, the handbooks on experiential learning, teacher resources for achieving learning outcomes, and other things are there. As we move to the student enrichment activities, not only for the teachers, but directly they have a lot of activities for the students so that they enrich, they participate, and they enjoy learning. Right from the Aryabhatta Ganit Challenge to the Heritage India Quiz, they also have the EBSB activities. We all have seen how they participated in the CBSE Science Challenge, the Science Exhibition. They also participate in the Khelo India, Hum Fit to India Fit, Expression Series, and obviously in the Reading Challenge. So different areas of holistic development has been taken care by CBSE. Now, what is the basic expectations of CBSE from schools and what they expect from us as teachers? So focus, number 1 is focus on core essentials. We have to focus on the learning outcomes. Focus on foundational skills in lower grades. Map curriculum across grades and subjects with defined learning objectives. It's very important. We have to focus on practical and application-based learning, experiential learning, and enhancing creative and critical thinking skills of students. Enable teachers to design such experiential and application-based activities which enhance the creative and critical thinking skills and other desired skills among the students. Stress on the importance of foundational skills of literacy and numeracy. Transform teaching strategy or adopt innovative teaching strategies to develop, strengthen, and achieve these foundational skills by grade 3. Focus at an early age on reading, obviously with comprehension, writing, and learning of basic mathematical concepts. Number 3, bring change in classroom teaching in alignment with the NEP 2020. So what are the changes? Define, adapt, adopt learning outcomes and link assessment with the defined learning objectives. Adopt experiential learning pedagogy to achieve the desired learning outcomes. Integrate subjects and technology to create a holistic learning experience for students. Integrate the component of digital literacy, scientific temper, and computational thinking. Plan lessons grounded in real life situations and plan to promote multilingualism. Identify and nurture gifted students and plan for CWSN and SEDGs, that is, the socially economically disadvantaged groups of students. Number 4, bring changes in the assessment pattern. Adopt varied modes of assessment. Already during this online teaching, we have adopted to various types of alternative assessment modes. So we have to work more on that. Focus more on assessment as and for learning. Align assessment practices with the defined learning objectives and focus on achievement of desired competencies in students. Carry out holistic, that is 360-degree assessment of the students in cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. Design, create multidimensional or holistic report card reflecting the uniqueness of each child in the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. Plan to track learning of each child. Then we move to that no silos, that is, remove separation between subjects and disciplines. Adopt holistic educational approach by removing hard separation between arts and science, curricular and co-curricular activities, academic and vocational streams. Vocational training to students. As mentioned in the NEP, one baglets day can be planned for hands-on learning on the vocational subjects. Popularize and offer vocational courses training to students. Next, number 7, enable assess and retention. Track each child and ensure there are no dropouts. Ensure educational access and retention of SEDGs. Help each child to continue education through RTE entitlements. Involve all stakeholders in the child's learning process and journey. We have to take into consideration the parents, the local administration, etc. Enhance and enrich students' learning through innovative pedagogy. Create safe and conducive learning environment for learning and teaching. Maintain inclusive and clean infrastructure. We need to monitor, track health status of children through periodic health checkups. Then number 8, self-audit on school quality assurance and accreditation framework, what is known as SQAAF. Disclosure of all financial, academic, and operational matters as expected from schools by SSSA. Provide enabling resources both to students and teachers. Ensure that all students at all levels of school education are taught by passionate, motivated, highly qualified, professionally trained, and well-equipped teachers. Recruit qualified teachers as per National Council for Teacher Education regulations. Regarding the assurance of the capacity building at all levels, build capacities of school management, heads, teachers, staff, parents, community, volunteers. So it's not only the training should be for the principals or the teachers, but there should be a regular capacity building program training for the parents, for different stakeholders. Minimum 50 hours of continuous professional development per year for heads and teachers. Mentoring of teachers. Nishtha needs to be compulsorily completed by all teachers. training regular teachers to teaching some appropriate vocational subjects and training of vocational teachers. Next, train teachers in identifying, recognizing, and nurturing unique potential of every child. Curriculum and pedagogy of early childhood care and education on the foundation literacy and numeracy. Next, use of technological platforms such as Swan, Diksha. Basic health indicators to look out for and monitor in children. Teaching Indian languages, shift in teaching learning from rote to inquiry based, critical thinking, cognitive learning, and applied methods. Assessment as learning and assessment for learning. Implementation of holistic progress card. Creation of safe and secure learning environment in school, and time tested as well as new pedagogy. So there should be a blend of time tested and new pedagogy. And finally, it's very important that we need to engage our parents and community, because without the help and support of parents and community, we cannot get our mission fulfilled. So engage with parents and community for a positive learning environment. Inform parents about expected learning outcomes, portfolios, home assignments, etc. Sensitize parents of children with physical and learning disability, the first generation learners. Make home visits, if possible and necessary, to create that bond or to create that connect. Arrange workshops on parenting and particularly on exam related anxieties and other stress. Engage with parents to deal with substance abuse, sexual orientations, and other adolescence issues. This is very, very important. Constantly send information about the activities in the school and child progress. Send portfolios back to parents for review and feedback. Once we receive the feedback, then we work on it. Inform parents about what kind of assistant the child needs at home for learning. Newsletters, emails, blogs, memos, all that can be prepared, made at as a regular feature of the school. Let parents be volunteers for FLN, field visits, sports, art exhibition, annual function, school magazine, all this. We can involve the parents. Exposure lecture by parent specialist, maybe a counselor, a doctor, a sportsman, a filmmaker from any discipline. Have parents representative for PTM. Organize specific events only for parents. Involve parents in the community outreach work undertaken by the school. So this is basically what the CBSE is expecting from us, and I'm sure if we take it as a joint effort, together we will succeed. And thank you all for your patience. It was really, I'm thankful for your time. It was really wonderful to have an interaction with you all. And I'm sure if we all try to work together, we will definitely make it successful. There is nothing to worry. So once again, I render my thanks and gratitude to CBSE personnel, and I'm sure the initiative they have taken is a grand one, and it will definitely be successful through our joint efforts. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Datta. Actually, you people are part of CBSE. Actually, you are CBSE. So whatever, higher the expectations of individual, higher the achievement of CBSE. So it has been a wonderful presentation, and I definitely hope that our teachers must have got an insight into the various aspects of school education. And thank you once again for giving your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. And I'm sure with the help, guidance of CBSE, we will definitely be successful in implementing this and that what fear is there among the teachers and all others will definitely go slowly and steadily as we try to understand this in a better and paced manner. Thank
Great.
you, ma'am. Thank you so much,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you so much, sir.
So, with your permission, may I take leave?
Yeah, I think it can be
Thank you.
done. The link has been opened and teachers can attempt the questions now.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.